But these guys know this is a really serious week, that this game means a lot to a lot of people, and it's a really darn good opponent coming into Holt on Saturday. So I think the best way to get that taste out of your mouth is to do everything you can to play good football the following week, and I think our guys have done that.
With the Halloween costumes, I feel like we just got to ask, I mean, how does that sort of fit into everything you're trying to build here with having fun? And that
Well,
sort of stuff?
I think so much of it is, in football, I think there's such a tendency to block out the outside noise. And I get it when you talk about negative stuff, but I mean, if it's a holiday, I mean, why not make it awesome? Why not make it a part of what you're doing? Because it's something you're going to have to combat with the distractions anyways. So I think if you kind of confront those head on and say, hey, you might be dressed up like Wolverine, but man, we're going to run the heck out of this drill. And Coach Webb's going to look like Batman, but he's trying to make sure we have a great practice, because I want our guys to go out and enjoy Halloween. I told every single one of them, I'm not stupid. I want you to go out on Halloween, but let's make sure you go to bed at a good hour. Let's make sure you're not putting bad stuff in your body. Let's make sure you're being smart and making good decisions, because we have a football game and you're all part of a greater whole, and that's the team. So I love holidays. I want to make sure we recognize any opportunity to have fun and put a smile on our faces for the kids, the guys on our team, the young men on this team. They deserve that.
So you got the game against Weber this week. There's been talk of the Train Bell Trophy coming back.
Been a lot of talk about it, boys.
You got two of the closer opponents in the Big Sky. So what's this game sort of mean from a team perspective? You got a program close by like Weber. There's that rivalry aspect.
Yeah, I think a lot of the local kids understand it, because we have a good amount of kids on our team, and we've been trying to have them speak a little bit about the importance of the game just for them, because a lot of our kids were recruited by Weber and Idaho State. So for us, it's good to recognize it again, that it is important to people, but we also know we have a really good opponent coming in. And you always say some people have looked at their record, and I don't think they really look at the statistics and understand how good Weber is. I mean, Grant Duff, local guy from Blackfoot, he's probably one of the best defensive minds in the country. I mean, him and Andy Thompson in back-to-back weeks is the stuff you have nightmares about, so it's fitting that it was Halloween last night. But I mean, they're playing elite on defense and special teams, and on offense, that Richie Munoz kid has really infused a lot of juice into their offense. And Mickey Mettle's an offensive guy. They just had a bye week. We didn't. So they've been working on us for 2 weeks. I'm sure that they're going to have a lot of good stuff and pull out all the stops to make some things happen, because they know if they put points on the board, everybody has trouble scoring on them.
Cody, a couple weeks ago we talked about, emotional letdown coming off of a big win going into a game, right? Well, we kind of have the opposite going in this week. We had a loss this last weekend. How do we mentally then be ready?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I always say let's focus on the things we did well and the things that we got to correct. As a coach, I try and do my best to make sure we're the same after a win or a loss, that my focus is going to be to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward to create a great experience for these guys on our team. And that means we need to be competitive. You need to be mentored. We need to push to get better. Every game we have positives. Every game we have negatives. Now, we've really got throat punched against Sac State, so there were a lot of negatives. But I think if you boil those down to a couple things, or a couple, whether it was, hey, we need to communicate better because we had a lot of communication errors, or maybe it's our eyes, maybe it's our alignment. Just focus on the things that hurt us the most and correct those going into the following week, because we know if we play well, we're going to have a shot to beat anybody. So our guys are focusing on improving their technique, making sure that we focus on ourselves and give ourselves a shot on Saturday.
It was close for a while in that Sac State game, and then that third quarter.
It was close for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I wonder if you can attribute that third quarter stretch to anything. If you think, because there's turnovers, there's all that sort of stuff. Just what did it sort of come down to?
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you look at the tape. There's a saying as coaches: it's never as good as you think it is, and it's never as bad as you think it is. And even when we were playing close with them, we weren't necessarily playing well, if that makes sense. I know we have some kids that can create plays. But if you watch this on the first couple drives, there were a lot of things that we just weren't necessarily ourselves. Easy misses, day one stuff that our guys would immediately look back at the tape and say, man, I should have made that call, or the ball should have gone there, that we just missed. And we got lucky and were able to put some points on the board. But, those touchdowns weren't necessarily our greatest plays either. The throw to Chaden looked like we punted it, and the other one could have been intercepted. But there were a lot of great plays and close plays that our guys either didn't make or right decisions that didn't bear fruit on the scoreboard. So the third quarter coming out, I think you just saw that you can't consistently make those same mistakes and still hang in a game against a quality opponent like that. Obviously for them, putting in Carson Conklin, I recruited Carson. He's a great player. He can really spin it, and they saw a weakness that they were able to exploit. He got hot, and they got great team speed, and that showed up. But I thought it was a great move by them. Also, you think about, do you want to take the wind in the third quarter or the fourth quarter? I think the wind definitely played a small factor in the game. But for us, when it starts to snowball downhill and you just can't seem to do anything right. And like the weather's not going for you. Like we can't catch a ball, we can't throw a ball, we can't call a good play. How do we keep these guys engaged? There were so many things we could have done better. It was a great learning experience for everybody, but it was like the second quarter of Utah State, kind of, although the weather was a little bit more of a factor against Sac than others, where we just got to learn how to take a deep breath and settle down. I think as coaches, it's on us to continue to relate to our guys and find out when things are going as bad as they can possibly go, what are we calling on offense to settle our guys down? Who are we giving the ball to? What are we calling on defense to stop the bleeding of sorts? And that's a learning curve for us as well, because every coach in America can draw up cool plays, but when things aren't going right, learning to have that kind of human connection with your team and have the pulse of the team where you can make those good decisions is something that I've got to be better at.
You talk about some of those plays in the first quarter that kind of bounced our way. There was also a couple of plays where we were a little aggressive. You went for it on fourth down a couple times. You had that surprise onside kick. What was kind of the mindset going in being that aggressive?
Yeah, so we knew that they had the ability to explode on offense. Just with their team speed, they were going to hit some. I mean, there was even that touchdown that we ended up getting the touchback again where the guy should have scored and they didn't. I mean, they can run and they can create explosive plays. And we knew you're not going to beat these guys kicking field goals, especially in the win. The field goals weren't necessarily a guarantee. And, it's funny, we converted 2 fourth downs where we made miraculous plays that were not necessarily great calls. I mean, it was just, oh my goodness. And then we missed 2 fourth downs where it was, oh my goodness, how did we screw this up? We had the perfect play call versus the perfect front. We just were slightly off on a technique. So there were some where the players bailed us out and some where we made mistakes that I would normally expect the young men on our team to make those plays. But they know every time we go into the game, we said, hey, we want to be aggressive. I mean, we want to play to win the game. It's not to beat the spread or stay within X amount of points or just to have a good showing. We want to play quality football that gives ourselves an opportunity to win. And in those fourth and short opportunities, we've been pretty successful so far. But, we weren't there, but I wouldn't change a thing. We'd go for it again. And I think if we were in the right mindset, we'd make them.
Speaking about environmental factors, things you can control, things you can't, how does it feel to be back home in Holt Arena, though, coming in for these next 2 games?
Yeah, it's great. I think obviously playing 2 road games, it was interesting. You deal with the elements in Portland a little bit. There was a little bit of rain, but just all the wet paint and the wetness on the field. It was nice for our guys to have to deal with that. Obviously, getting a lead early in that game helps. And then going and playing a game at Sac State where it's a little bit windier and chillier than you might expect. I know it was in California, but it was colder than it ever is in Holt Arena. That's never an excuse for things, but you just think of all these things that you're dealing with that make you feel uncomfortable, that don't make you feel at home. Whereas, our guys practice in here. They're used to playing in here. They've had success in here. We had 2 games on the road. We have won the last 2 in Holt Arena. So our guys, they see these seats, they see this field, they have a positive feeling, and they expect things to go right in here because they have so far. So we're really excited because we're going to need things to go our way against Weber. Our guys are going to play really hard. I hope the fans come out and support these kids because they're playing good football and they're getting better, and I hope people could see it. But, Weber will be a fun one.